Alright, so like the guy said, don't send hate to him, vice versa, we're friends. But there are some things that it does not fit well with me. So let's just get over it. So he's talking about from Transformers Wiki about a megaverse, and he's trying to say that it's the IDW megaverse because it references G.I. Joe, which is an IDW work, even though it's actually a Hasbro work, and that it wasn't originally an IDW thing. It's like I said before, it's kind of funny that it doesn't reference My Little Pony, Sonic, Godzilla. It doesn't reference those. It doesn't even show a picture of the IDW megaverse like I've shown before, or actually what he's shown before using another picture you'll see soon. As you see here, it doesn't even reference IDW. All it just mentions G.I. Joe, but we already knew this because G.I. Joe and Transformers cross over many times, so that was kind of an awful argument. And he's trying to say that other realities are like the other IDW universes, but it could have been literally talking about Bayverse and other Transformers related stuff, not IDW works, which doesn't seem right to me. Because if it really meant about the other IDW works, wouldn't it have mentioned My Little Pony? Because the only way that Transformers and MLP are connected was because of an IDW crossover. I want you guys to really think about that. That right there, the reality versus fiction, or reality over fiction over Godzilla, because of that one scene from a comic, my dad even thought it's not even worth talking over, because that was a very silly argument. I'm not even joking. And did you know that Godzilla from the Heisei movies referenced Batman? Does that make Godzilla reality over fiction above DC by that logic? Did you know that DC and Looney Tunes viewed each other as fiction, yet they crossovered? What kind of flying fuck is that type of argument? It means nothing. Well, I guess because my verse views both Godzilla and Transformers as fiction, that means they're automatically above. Get out! As you can see here, my verse literally views Transformers and others as fiction, and they even contained as atoms. But yeah, I don't use that argument, even though I absolutely could, and Godzilla even shows more feats in this scenario. Funny that one of the scenes shows or references Godzilla, just not using the name, defeating Optimus Prime. Oh, I guess if you want to do that logic with your comic book, I guess Godzilla automatically defeats Transformers within my logic here. And that Godzilla does better in the Ascendant Force than Transformers. And it's so funny, me and several other people who's working on the Chaosverse as we speak, we all believe, or almost all, believe that Godzilla is more of a threat to the Chaosverse, which includes Danger World, the Ascendant Force, Dumb World, etc., is more of a threat to those verses than Transformers. So if you want to go do that, Godzilla scales higher in the Chaosverse than Transformers. And fun fact, Godzilla in Hell, at least, is on the highest tiers with La Flora, Barry, Twisted. Not the worst of all tier though. Oh nah, I'm gonna do my boy dirty. Yeah, I'm not just gonna stop at this topic. I'm gonna go further and beyond. Also found this from Wikizilla, so nice try. I guess Marvel contains Transformers. Now to the ones that I absolutely have confidence that a Godzilla, besides Godzilla in Hell, because Godzilla in Hell is determined to fight foes that's his greatest adversary, scaling above the other Godzilla's other battles. But I'm going to talk about the Godzillas that I have confidence that could be Transformers as a whole. And one of them that I'm absolutely confident of is Fortnite Godzilla. Fortnite Godzilla, while not beating the Dark Presence, he was able to hurt and damage the Dark Presence, and he doesn't immediately die. And he's able to tank, or at least Kong tanks the 0 point blast, which obviously Godzilla's superior to. And he's a threat to the 0 point, and obviously a threat to Fortnite as a whole, And why does this matter? Because the 0 point created canon Marvel, DC, yeah, not in order, I'm sorry, Doomslayer, the God of War, Rick and Morty, and this is gonna be a painful thing for everyone Transformers like to see. Forgive me for this god-awful quality. I'm in a bad place right now. But as we all know, Transformers is fucking a part of the Fortnite, which also means that Transformers cosmology as a whole is created by Fortnite. And I know my friend is going to say, but it's not how it started, it's shit like that. Well, the same was said about Marvel and DC, but they agreed, that 0 point had to do with the creation of both other cosmologies. So most likely Transformers is believing the same thing. They're just not going to put it out like that. And it's really funny too, and it hurts worse, because I believe Transformers was before Goku, and Goku had a statement that he has power never seen before in Fortnite. So upscaling, well, the Marvel events, that Transformers event, I think some DC events, and obviously the 0 point, which I said created all those cosmologies I just mentioned. So now that the fact that Fortnite Godzilla is not only in a event that's much bigger than those previous events, Godzilla's actually does more damage than Goku. So Godzilla solos the Transformers cosmology based on that. And it doesn't really matter what you say about the Megaverse, because it also has some shit that kind of comes from there, sort of. I mean, Sonic was there, kind of, but not as a skin, but like a car. It's also funny that Godzilla's more serious and, more dangerous and more important than Optimus was. So that's kind of a big W for me and big L for you. Also, Hatsune Miku also heard the Dark Presence. Now, why am I mentioning Hatsune Miku exactly, which has nothing to do with Godzilla? Well, she kind of has to do with Godzilla in a way, because both Godzilla and Godzilla and Miku, also saw each other in Shinkalon, and it's a different Godzilla, obviously, Snow Godzilla, and Snow Godzilla actually beat Hatsune Miku, which can tank the 0 point, as from the Fall Guys. The Fall Guys tanked the 0 point, which aka created all those cosmologies. And fucking Snow Godzilla effortlessly beat Miku, and Snow Godzilla would be above Fortnite Godzilla, which I already told you how powerful he was. So there is that. Also, I'm sorry that I'm a little bit overplaced, but I forgot to mention this. He mentions about the IDW infestation, right? But the funny thing was, originally Godzilla was supposed to be there, and he was supposed to take on the final boss, aka Cthulhu, and beat him. The reason that didn't happen was because Toho thought that Godzilla was going to be seen, I guess, small compared to these other franchises, but he's not, especially right now. So that's why they have Godzilla vs. Cthulhu now. But did you know that IDW saw Godzilla being the final boss character instead of Transformers? Yeah, that's what I fucking thought. Funny enough that he transcended fiction, or transcends like Marvel in a way, or does a IRL-like feat better than Unicron does. Keep in mind, that's Showa Godzilla. There is confirmed Godzillas much stronger than Marvel Godzilla, aka Showa Godzilla. That is really something you got to think about right here. And it's also fucking funny that Godzilla also, is actually real in Japan. Yay. You don't see that for Transformers. Right. So basically, in conclusion, that Transformers does not take over the fucking, IDW Megaverse, doesn't even reference it, and, using G.I. Joe as an excuse isn't really great, because besides, because it would have mentioned something like My Little Pony, which Transformers and My Little Pony only got a crossover from IDW, but they didn't fucking mention that. Using TF Wiki to use, because Godzilla is in that, apparently, that means Transformers contains Godzilla, which is no. It's just fucking explaining it. Doesn't mean jack shit. Because, Marvel Wiki has Transformers in it. And, Wikizilla, apparently. And, Wikizilla has some Transformers shit. So do you want to go by that route? And just because that fucking Cybertronian from a Bayverse comic reads a Godzilla comic does not make it a metafictional world. Because you could didn't there say something from My Little Pony? There was a book called literally IDW. And we all did not like that, apparently, right? But I guess if you do that, that's fine. So that's kind of a hypocrite right there. And even if you want to do that, me and most of the Chaosverse workers believe Godzilla is more of a threat to the Chaosverse than Transformers is, which actually the Chaosverse is a bunch of, universes from our own works, and most of them are pretty busted. Mine is inspired in cosmology-wise, Marvel, DC, and Transformers. I watched some of your videos and Grimlock's videos for cosmology ideas. And it has every mythology existing, and there's infinite varieties of them. There's clusters of all possible worlds, like Transformers. And, there's entities beyond the Chaosverse. And also funny that, I already put up a scan for this, but, they my book references Transformers, Marvel, DC, of course Godzilla in it. They're mostly contained as atoms. But yeah, Godzilla is considered more stronger than the other universes. And I think I already said this already, but the fiction worlds exist, but they're contained as atoms, so that's nothing really impressive right there. Keep in mind, people in those atoms transcended their narrative framework and shit like that, like Transformers does. Yeah, Aiden has a 13-year-old one-shots, right? But yet, we all believe Godzilla's more of a threat to the Chaosverse. So, just a single punch is not going to do jack shit. Even Joshua referenced the idea that there was a world that Godzilla takes over. Oh, where's the one for Transformers then? Oh no. So, yeah, so if we want to go by that route, Godzilla's more of a threat to Chaosverse than Transformers. And we're official, by the way. Right? Evan's working on the Danger World not a comic, like a book. I think it's more of a novel than anything. I don't think he's going to do a graphic novel because that would be too much. I don't think he knows anyone that does any comic for him. But yeah. I just kind of proved why that it doesn't really make sense for the shit that he just explained. And I added more stuff, right? There's like a couple Godzillas that could actually beat Fortnite, so yeah. Also, there was one other part before I finished this. It's from the Marvel versions of Godzilla and Transformers, And in Marvel Godzilla's case, he fought, because actually Godzilla and Transformers had dealt with these same characters. The New Avengers and Black Suit Spider-Man, where Spider-Man had a symbiote, right, for the first time. Spider-Man was sort of confident to take on the Marvel version of Megatron, right, which is apparently canon, right? Even though he didn't beat Megatron, he did tangle up a bit. And while in, the Godzilla vs. Spider-Man comic, he didn't want to fight Godzilla because Godzilla tangled with Hulk, and that says a lot. That means Godzilla's stronger than Megatron in that category. Another part is in Godzilla vs. New Avengers, and I read the New Avengers Transformers comic. They want to say that Transformers is weak, which, why does that matter? because the Avengers were weak. They do not have powerful members like Hulk and Thor, right? So they're both weakened, right? Yes, Transformers is stronger. I get that. But some of these people were able to hurt the Autobots, right? Granted, we're not super serious on the heroes, but that's still something. You don't just hold back your durability. That makes no fucking sense. But in the Godzilla vs. Avengers comic, they were getting trashed by Godzilla and Fin Fang Foom. And one of them even said that they wanted Hulk and Thor to be there. They wished Hulk and Thor were there. They didn't say that about the Transformers case. So that also says something that Godzilla's more of a threat. And he was saying, oh, they both got weakened. Oh, yeah. But considering that, Marvel characters got absolutely stronger than they were at that time. And yeah, you can say the same thing about IDW Transformers. I get it. But here's the thing. IDW Transformers ended, while Marvel is going to keep going for a long time. Probably for thousands of years. So they're going to get stronger to the point that it's going to leave the IDW Transformer scaling in the dust, apparently. Eventually. Well, that's all I got to say for now. If I finish, I'll type it down in the comments. But thank you guys for watching. And please don't give hate to Barricade. Alright? I know I talk a bit serious, but it's just something that he made that's really silly jokes. Right? And I just talk like that. Right? But I don't wish anything harmful on him. So, see ya.